Hello, beautiful people. My thoughts today are around not being appreciated in a relationship, or not feeling seen, not feeling like your needs are being met. And when I say needs, I'm not necessarily meaning sex, although uh, quite often it can also be sexual in nature for men when it comes to needs and their needs not being met in a relationship. Just as a side note, I'm trying to use some notes today, uh, just to see if, as much as I like to do things off the cuff, maybe just some very basic notes will help me just create a better structure. I'd love to get your feedback if having the notes and me looking away breaks the immersion from the videos a bit too much or not. Any feedback, in fact, would be awesome, much appreciated. So thank you kindly. So today's thoughts ties in with a video that I did recently about Mr. Nice Guy, right? And people pleasing, doing everything for everyone else. And my experience with this, it comes down to two things. But before going into those two things, I want to share a little story, and that is about myself. When I was in a relationship, I got my self-worth from that relationship. So everything that I did, I tried to do because I got my self-worth from that relationship. I would read what their needs were and then do my best to gauge what I could do to meet those needs. And as I again mentioned in that previous video, it was because I wanted to be a really good partner, but it was also tied in with wanting to try and make sure that they were in the best mood that they could be in to increase my chances of sex. So that was one thing that was really hindering me, was that I was seeking self-worth and I was reading their needs. Now, the catch with that was that I then expected them to do that. So I was getting my self-worth from the relationship, and also I was reading their needs and expecting them to read my needs. And so that then ties into the second thing, which is not actually communicating the not actually communicating what my needs are. I didn't tell them because I put so much time and effort into reading into the relationship and reading what I thought their needs were, and then expecting them or wanting them to do the same for me. And I wouldn't ask because I didn't actually have the confidence a lot of the time to ask for what I wanted from the relationship. And so it was not a healthy balance. It was not a healthy way that I was approaching these relationships. And so going back to the two things that I mentioned before, one is that I was seeking validation. My actions were seeking validation, right? I had no sense of self-worth, and so I sought self-worth from the relationship. I sought validation. I wanted them to tell me that I was a good person. I wanted them to tell me that I wanted to blow their mind, pretty much, in all ways. Being an amazing person, being different to other men, being kind and thoughtful, and being amazing in bed, right? Now, all of those things sound great. The problem, of course, as I expressed before, is that I also wanted them to, I was treating them how I wanted to be treated. And that sounds a little misleading. I'll come back to that another day. And then the second thing being that I was not communicating my needs because I wanted them to just read and be able to tell what my needs were. I didn't have the confidence to tell them, so I wanted the people that I was dating to just be able to read what my needs were. So then I didn't have to ask. And that's all just based around a total lack of confidence, a total lack of self-worth. So if this sounds familiar to you, if this, when I say this, I'm meaning if feeling like you're not appreciated in a relationship, feeling like everyone walks all over you, you feel like you give every inch of your back to run around for other people, and that's not being appreciated. From my experience, I suggest you reflect on where you're at and my story. Can you see yourself in that? Can you look at your actions and see that you're not communicating your needs? Can you look at your actions and see potentially you're seeking validation? You're seeking validation and not communicating your needs because you are struggling to communicate, to ask for those needs. And if so, the best thing that we can do collectively, because I'm still working on it, right? Like my relationships are getting better, or my dating experiences, because I'm currently not in a relationship, but my dating experiences are getting better because I am communicating better, right? But we collectively, let's communicate our needs better. I want to acknowledge that when you first start doing this, if you've been in a long-term relationship, if you've been in a relationship for over 2 years, right, this may ruffle some feathers simply because people are used to you being a certain way. And so when you start changing, when you start actually asking for the things that you want, it may upset some feathers initially. Now, the good people aren't going to have a problem with this long term. It's just a small change, a small adjustment. It will make the relationship better because you'll feel seen, you'll feel heard. Your needs will start being met, right? When you can start to communicate them. And yes, it does take courage. Yes, it is hard, but yes, it is absolutely worth it. Twofold, as I explained. One, the people that you're with, if they're good people, they will start to meet you halfway. Initially, it'll be like, oh, where did this come from? But they will start meeting those needs because they are good people, and most people are good people. There is a possibility, if you're a people pleaser, that you actually have a bad match. And so when you start communicating these things, that will become apparent, and they won't appreciate, they won't respect, they won't start meeting your needs that you have. And I just want to iterate, I should have mentioned this before. When I say needs, I'm not necessarily meaning sexual. It could be as simple as asking, how was your day? Like, I was in a relationship and I didn't get that question, and I really struggled with that. I would ask after their day, we'd talk about their day, rah-de-rah-de-rah. I'd never, or very, very rarely did they ask after my day. And it really made me feel unseen, unheard, unappreciated. So I want to acknowledge that a lot of the time our needs being met are just little things. A lot of the time. Anyway, so the people that are not good matches for us, when we start asking for these small sorts of things, often they won't respect, they won't appreciate where you're coming from, and they won't meet you on these things. And that's okay. That's indicative of the relationship. And then you have a choice, because you've started to communicate what you need to feel good, to feel seen and appreciated in the relationship. If they can't give that to you, then that's indicative of the health of the relationship and how it's going to be for the rest of your life with them. And so cast your mind forward. Do you want to stay in that relationship? And I want to acknowledge that, yes, some of these relationships might be marriages and you might have kids. How healthy are you, and how healthy are you showing up for your kids, if that's the case, in this relationship? Like, it's a hard decision. Anyway. And then the other point was, of course, reviewing your actions. Again, this is just based on my experience. Review your actions, and are you doing those actions to seek validation? Are those actions because you really are struggling with something inside yourself? So this one's a little more complicated to explain. Are you doing those actions because you feel the need to be told that you're good? Because then what is happening is that you are doing these actions seeking validation, and it's not actually because you love this person, it's not because you care for this person, it's actually because you're doing these actions to get validation and have them tell you that you're a good person. For me, it was I wanted to be told that I was a good person. I wanted to be told how amazing I was, and how different I was from other men. And I very rarely got that. I got a little bit, but I very rarely got that. And I put a lot of effort into doing these things to get those, and those sort of statements. But it was coming from a disingenuous place. It wasn't because I loved them and I was interested in them. Paradoxically, I was also falling in love with these people. I did also care about them, but I also was doing it because I wanted. So I was developing my self-worth in the relationship. And so I just am trying to help raise an awareness that, as much as sometimes it's the outside, we ask for these needs to be met and they're not being met, more often it's the inside. We're seeking validation. People pleasers, right? Why are we people pleasers? Why are we Mr. Nice Guys? So I just wanted to share that with everyone and create some thought and hope that it helps. And so again, there's nothing wrong with asking for your needs to be met. Start communicating your needs. And if that doesn't go down well, then start reviewing the relationship. And also review why you're doing all the things that you're doing. Why are you running around so much for these people? And I'm not suggesting that you cut off from being a nice guy. Reflect on what the driver is, and maybe do a little less, and maybe put a little more of you in there. And it takes time. Baby steps though, and you can get there. So I hope this was thought-provoking. I hope it helps, and I look forward to talking again soon. Cheers, team.